House Calls.
It's time now for House Calls with the Kingery team of Mountain to Lake Realty.
Keep it here for market insights, featured guests, and answers to your real estate questions.
Here are your hosts, Steve Furrow and Julie Kingery.
Hey, House Calls, baby, House Calls, we're back.
Woo.
Saturday. Julie,
Yeah.
You ready to go?
I'm ready. Thankfully, I got 2 cups of coffee in me.
Hey, Julie, it's House Calls.
Woo.
Here we are.
Happy to be done with this week, huh?
Oh, man, this has been a week that I'm going to chalk up. This has been a week of, we'll just say trying. It's been a trying week for me. But yeah,
That's right.
The world doesn't revolve around me, Julie. You know?
Well, in real estate, maybe it does, just a little bit.
You know what we do here on House Calls?
You tell me.
We talk about real estate, Julie. What's going on in the market? So, Miss Julie, here we are. It's mid-May. Mm-hmm. I've got some stats. You want to give us the highlights, in your opinion, what is going on in the market this week?
Well, I think that Mother Nature needs to figure out whether we're going to be hot, cold, sunny, rainy. We've appreciated the rain this week. We definitely needed it, but it's time for this warm weather this weekend. I'm excited about that because a lot of times warm weather makes people want to sell their house or buy a house. So market-wise, I think we're still steady. We are more inventory, more houses are out there, and hopefully more will keep coming so that we can get this market back in a more balanced time.
There you go. Well, I will share, as we do a lot here on House Calls, we talk a little bit about what's going on in the market, and I pull some stats. So here we are, middle of the month. April data is in. We look at greater Roanoke Valley area. You look at home sales, Miss Julie. We're almost 600. Excuse me. I said that we're a little over 500 total homes sold in the greater Roanoke Valley, Martinsville. That is going to include Martinsville, Henry, and the greater Roanoke Valley. And, that is going to be very steady to where we were a year ago. Mm-hmm. When you look at the data for April of 2025, going to be about 100 homes short of where we were in 5 years ago.
Okay.
So, your comment about steady, I think the market is continuing to just kind of churn along. When you break things down, you look at Franklin County, we're 65 homes sold, residential homes sold in April of 2026. That's compared to 61 in 2025. And that would have been 67 in April of 21, 5 years ago. So, very steady from that standpoint. You look at residences on Smith Mountain Lake. We actually 24 closed in April compared to 15 a year ago.
Wow.
So it was up. And then 29 in 5 years ago. So that was a little surprising for me. But I will tell you, when we look at what went on a month ago in the market, when you looked at residential's home sales closed in March, that was down. Mm-hmm. So I think some of that is just a function of, hey, we put them all together. Right. We're still on a very even playing field, but month to month you see some little changes like that. Yep. Julie, when we talk about days on market, those homes that sold in April, 69 days on market is the average days on market. So a little over 2 months. Mm-hmm. To get them closed and moved on. And when we compare that to a month ago, we looked at those homes, we were at 68. So again, I think things are pretty steady. Right. If you were to compare the market pace here in March and April of 2026 versus a year ago, we're about 20 days. The homes were on the market 20 days less in 2025 than they were in 2026. So the pace of the market has slowed some. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think, when we could talk about all the different reasons, but I personally feel like when we look at the difference in interest rates today as to where they were a year ago, we're a little higher. Right. Maybe just a skosh, but the interest rates have gone up a little bit here in the last couple weeks, and I think that's gotten some people's attention and maybe helping to kind of slow this market down a little bit. So, and I'll give you one last thing here. We're talking about residential homes. I think we talked briefly, kind of about the overall sales volume, but when you look at inventory, Julie, we would have cracked, we're almost 1,600 homes in the greater, you can take Martinsville, Henry,
Right.
Patrick, put it into the greater Roanoke Valley, 1,600 homes, and that would be a high water mark for a while. So
Right.
I do think we're seeing more homes come on the market. They're staying a little longer on the market, so we're seeing that inventory number go up. And you talked about a balanced
Right.
market. We're not there yet.
No.
We're not at a balanced market, but we are getting better.
Ticking a little closer, maybe.
And a buyer, you've got room to negotiate in this market. We're not seeing we are seeing homes come on the market that are priced right and seeing multiple offers,
Right.
Selling above list price. That was one of the things I found interesting in this data for April when I looked at what was the sold price versus the original list price. We were like 99, right at like 99%.
Yeah, still close to what they're asking for.
Yeah, and I think if we would have gone back 2 or 3 months ago, back 2 or 3 months, you'd have seen that number be more like 97. So
Right.
there was seems to be, from my perspective, there's still some opportunities, still some negotiating room there for you.
And just talking about the negotiation room, sometimes that, they might sell for at or just above, but sometimes that's closing costs. We've got buyers have a little bit more negotiating power now. Not always, but it does seem like sometimes you can have a seller that will agree to pay some of those closing costs. So that helps keep the numbers close to what those list prices are.
Yeah. And so when you look at that data, we're not factoring in what,
Right.
if there was any sort of concessions or anything given there. We don't have that information readily available, but that's a great point in the conversation here when we're talking about what was the selling price
Right.
versus what was the list
Right.
price.
And just something to keep in mind if you are a seller, sometimes that might help your house. As inventory is growing, multiple offers aren't at every single house, but that might be something that you consider to maybe make your house stand out a little bit over another one. If you're thinking about neighborhood wise, there's 2 houses in the neighborhood for sale. Maybe you're priced the same. Maybe you throw out there that you'd be willing to pay $5,000 towards a closing cost for a purchaser.
Yeah, and I that's a great point, Julie. I think this is something if they didn't hear any of the things we've said before. I think this point right here is having that conversation you just had about being strategic in how you price your home. Being very strategic about it, laying out the options and putting together a plan. I think that it's never been more important than it is today.
Yes.
In doing that, having a plan on that from a pricing standpoint, being ready from that. Guys, that is huge in this market, given the challenges for both buyer and seller, the overall environment that we're dealing with. It's huge to have that strategic plan sort of in place. It's
Have the conversation early.
You bet. So, Miss Julie, with that being said, I think we kind of sped right on through
We did.
this first segment here, but we will look forward to coming back after a short break with the question of the week.
House calls.
When it comes to buying or selling a home, you want someone who gets family because your next chapter matters.
At the Kingery team, we're not just agents. We are a family helping families.
Whether it's your first home, forever home, or anything in between, we'll walk with you every step of the way.
Local, loyal, like family.
The Kingery team, selling real estate 1 yard at a time. Located uptown Rocky Mount at 195 South Main Street. Give us a call at 540-483-5566. All right. Julie, we're back.
Woo!
With house calls. Yeah.
We're ready.
This is segment number 2 here. And Julie, here we are just rolling along in the middle of May and a beautiful day.
Yes.
Yep.
I see what you did there.
So we normally talk about a question of the week, and I think you've got something from, is it John?
John from the 540. He has reached out. I think there's a lot of, people might misunderstand this sometimes, but he wonders what is the difference between a tax assessed value and what market value might be.
Okay. Well, since how you posed the question here from John, I'll go ahead and take the first shot at it. Okay.
All right.
Tax assessment, every 4 years, I think it is.
In Franklin County, it's every 4.
County. The assessors come out, they look at square footage. Generally, they'll pull public information and arrive at what they think is a fair market value for your property. And it doesn't, things like if you've upgraded your kitchen or, upgraded your bathrooms, a lot of that stuff doesn't really fall into play. But they're going to take what information they can gather and put a number on the property. So that's a tax assessed. And basically that's the number you pay taxes on.
Right.
You're going to be taxed on that property value.
And a lot of times they don't go inside. They don't see what you've done. If you've finished a room in the basement or repainted, changed floors, sanded floors, refinished floors, things that don't require a permit, they don't know. They don't know that you've done those things. So your tax assessed value isn't always as high as what maybe your market value is. But then you also sometimes can be the opposite. And that's when you kind of fight that.
Yeah, you think about a double-edged sword. Everybody wants to pay. No one wants to pay any more taxes than they have to. But at the same time, when you think about the value of your property, everybody wants to have as much value. My home's worth as much as it ever has been.
Right. Right.
So it's sort of a fine line to walk. We talk about it all the time about, we'll have someone come in and say, hey, well, the property is assessed at this.
Right.
And it's like, well, that's great. That is a number that we can talk about, but reality is the fair market value is probably something different.
Right.
And everybody's got to start somewhere. I think about when we do these things, we talk about market analysis.
Right.
Julie.
A CMA. Yep.
And we have somebody come out and wants to give us a market analysis. A lot of times I'll pull county records.
Right.
And we'll talk about. It's
usually the first thing we do.
Yep. And we'll talk about, what the county has it assessed at. And then we'll look at improvements that have been made at different things, and then look at what, so that tax assessment was taken at a specific period of time. And, if the tax assessment was a year ago, the market a lot of times changes, or it does change. And when you look at the assessment a year ago and then versus what is the true value of it today, those are very different numbers.
Right.
And so you kind of have to work through that accordingly.
Right.
Julie, it's interesting when we talk about, you said, sort of the flip side of that, when something's worth maybe less than what the assessed value is. I had a call this week. A person talked to me about this was land.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he said, hey, the county's got this piece of land valued, and I'm making up numbers here, but let's just say $15,000. And he said, Steve, it's 0.8 of an acre. It's swampy. He said, I don't think it's going to perk, yada, yada, yada. And he said, I wouldn't give her $10,000 for that. And, you think about those situations, and they're certainly, they do exist out there. And that's why it becomes, I think that's why he was calling me.
Right.
He was like, hey, can you give me some opinion here? Am I off base?
Right. Oh, yeah.
So you have to kind of work through that. When we think about what is that fair market value, we're pulling information, the latest information.
Right.
This market is moving every day. And so we pull that information, and, we're going to provide you with what we feel is the best value, the best number based off the information that we had available to us. Right.
Well, in the tax assessments, 4 years is a long time in a real estate market. I mean, sometimes we do see things, it might stay similar for a 4-year time period, but a lot can change depending on, they're doing that assessment the prior year, it comes out, and then it's staying that way for the next 4 years. And so market value definitely can be very different. Right now, assessments are probably lower than what values are, even with the latest update that we had. And of course, a lot of times when people get their assessments, you look at it and you say, is my house really worth that much? Or, okay, they say it's worth this, I'm going to sell it for this much. It's just one of those things that it's good if you're thinking about buying or selling. You definitely want to look at the assessed value, but then that's where we come into play and say, okay, yeah, the county says it's worth that, but I don't think they considered X, Y, and Z when they were giving you that value. And so we can say, well, but you have this and this, so that's going to make it more than what the assessed value is. Or if it's, you inherited a grandparent's property or something and it maybe hasn't been updated, but the assessor hasn't been in, so they've valued it around what other properties around it are valued at. Your market value might not be quite as high as what the value is. And not to call that out, I'm just, that might not have been a great example, but sometimes if things haven't been updated, they might not be exactly what tax assessed value is.
Sure. Well, and so I'm a stats guy, but I saw when you went down this path, I remember seeing this here recently, National Association of Realtors, a big, so
right.
They looked at the equity that has been gained in the last 6 years.
Okay. Wow.
So the last 6 years, Julie, what would you say, and this is nationwide now, but how much do you think the market has moved in the last 6 years? So we're talking basically COVID, but
right.
Since COVID.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think is the average?
I'm going big. I mean, I'd say it's probably 80 to 100,000 in equity.
Man, you are more than a pretty face, Miss Julie.
Is that?
Actually, 128,000 is what their information would say. 128,000 is how much the market has moved in 6 years.
And that's just maintaining, most likely. That's not necessarily upgrading a kitchen or a bathroom. I mean, that's yours.
It is
just maintaining.
Huge number. Huge number, Julie. Just unbelievable. Again, your point about 4 years is a long time, and when you look at assessments, and every county is different, they look at those things. But guys, there can be a lot of difference in what the assessed value is and what the fair market value is. That's why you need to give the Kingery team a call.
Yes.
And let us come out and take a look, have a conversation with you about it. I guarantee that you're going to learn something.
Yes.
To learn something. Well, with that being said, guys, we truly appreciate you and your time, your willingness to step in and listen to us. We will look forward to seeing you next time on House Calls.
Woo!
Take care, everyone.
Thanks for listening to House Calls with the Kingery team of Mountain to Lake Realty with your hosts, Steve Furrow and Julie Kingery. If you have questions about anything discussed on today's show, text us at 276-629-9999. Join us again next Saturday at 9 for more tips, trends, and answers to your real estate questions on House Calls with the Kingery team of Mountain to Lake Realty and Southern Virginia's country station, B99.9.
House Calls.